Hello and welcome to the Off the Crossbar Champions League preview podcast with myself, Regan, and Brad. The greatest club tournament is back.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. Champions League definitely seems a bit more. There's a lot to be excited about this year. Even if the overall feel is there's two overall dominant looking teams, you'd think, or maybe just one that you would expect to just piss it given the super team that they've now collated. But who knows? There's still intrigue.
Exactly. So this podcast, we're going to start off by looking at the whole tournament on a whole, who we think are going to be our winners, the biggest underdogs, and how we think the English teams will get on. And then as we progress, we'll have a look at the very opening match day. So, who are your favourites to win this year's Champions League?
We know who the overall favourites probably are. It's the team that everyone has. We've got at least three options that I think realistically in the conversation, maybe four, depending on how someone would be feeling. But we know that the overall favourites are PSG by an absolute mile.
Yeah, I think everyone's got to say, on paper, with that squad that they have assembled, like you said, they've got to be the favourites, absolute monster squad. But there's just something about me that is still thinking PSG and the Champions League, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen, and I don't know why. I just don't think this year is going to beat them. I think they're going to be up there. I think they'll be like the final 8, final 4 teams, but I don't know, there's just something that's making me think that it's written on the cards for them to go bust as well as winning the tournament, if you get what I mean.
It's a weird take though, considering the squad that they've got. How do you not say that they should at least, at a minimum, be finalists?
Yeah, well, like you said, on paper that squad is finalist and winners because it's crazy. I mean, the depth as well is absolutely ridiculous, and the fact that they've managed to hold on to Kylian Mbappe is obviously a key part of that as well. But there's also the part of me that goes, well, if you think of the Galacticos of Real Madrid in the early 2000s, they built a super team but never won the Champions League, did they?
No.
So
that is very true. No.
That's what I'm always tossing up. Like, yes, this is possibly one of the greatest teams in Europe we could potentially see in a long time. But then I think back to the Galacticos, how they never won anything. And we actually haven't seen the whole of the new PSG start yet. We haven't had Messi, Neymar, Mbappe up front. We haven't seen Sergio Ramos playing defence. Obviously, we've seen Hakimi a few times. We haven't seen Donnarumma in goal. So there's a lot of factors of how this could go for PSG. And they haven't got the easiest of groups either.
No, if I think they're in one of the group of deaths.
Yeah. So, I mean, you would expect them to progress as one of the top 2 teams, but it's just that factor for me of knowing how they've done in the past in the Champions League with the big squad that they've had, that is also making me go, actually, I don't think you can realistically say they're going to win this just down to the squad that they have.
Mm-hmm. It's weird that you can't say that, because it should be that simple to just say, no, look at the team they've got, they should go a long, long way.
Yeah. For me,
then again, you look at you look at who the other favourites are.
Well, yeah.
And it's the team that's in their group.
Yeah, I mean, Manchester City obviously had the quieter window compared to PSG, only bringing in Jack Grealish. But
they only spent £100 million on one player, that's it.
Yeah. So far, they've looked really good in the league, winning 2 of their opening 3 games, and this is the tournament that Pep Guardiola has wanted to bring to Manchester City and hasn't been able to do so. Again, I think they can go quite far, last 8 potentially to the last 4, and like I said, even finalists. But again, there's just something about me that's thinking City in the latter stages of this competition haven't really been the team that make you think, okay, they're going to win this. Like, if we think back to last year's final, he got his whole 11 wrong that game, Guardiola, and we spoke about it at the time afterwards, how he got his area tactics wrong and his starting 11.
Yeah, literally the main reason Man City don't have a Champions League yet is the reason they're so far in the first place, and that is Guardiola himself. is their biggest problem because it's the overthinking.
Yeah, and we said that back in May after the final with Chelsea. Chelsea themselves, though, you've got to consider them favourites. Have had a really good summer, bringing in Saul Niguez and obviously Romelu Lukaku, who will guarantee you goals. And although Timo Werner's had a good international break at Germany, Lukaku's going to be the favourite.
Chelsea arguably have a better team now than they did when they won it.
Yeah, which is crazy to think. And they'll be, if they do get to the final, it'll be a full year under Thomas Tuchel's tactics and everything. So you'd expect them to go a lot further. And realistically, if you look at their group, Juventus are the only team on paper that will give them any trouble because they've also got Zenit St. Petersburg and Malmo as well. So they've probably got one of the easier groups out of the 4 English teams in this season's Champions League.
Yeah, you would say they've been rewarded pretty much with their group. They've got a better group than Man City.
Yeah.
Probably the nicest group out of all the English teams, you'd say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for their quality, yeah, maybe. There's still the odd test there. They've got travel.
Yeah.
That as well, Zenit. I'll travel there, Malmo.
Yeah. I think that's always going to be a problem, especially in these group stages. I don't know when they have to travel to St. Petersburg to face Zenit, but if it's later on in the year, coming Christmas time, that is going to be, which it is, it's the last group fixture to Zenit versus Chelsea in St. Petersburg. So 8th of December, going to be really wintry conditions in Russia.
You think at that point they'd be hoping that they're through?
Yeah, but obviously you can't write anything off. Then you have to look at Group E, Barcelona and Bayern Munich, 2 teams that have done well in the European competitions recently. Obviously Bayern Munich won it 2 seasons ago. Barcelona were the semi-finalists that year where they got beat 8-2 by Bayern Munich. For me, Barcelona...
Yeah, just had to say, didn't it?
Yes. For me, I think
Bayern... Give them all flashbacks.
Yes. Bayern Munich, I think you can consider them favourites alongside Chelsea, PSG and Man City. I think they've had a good window.
For me, Bayern were the debatable 4th team. Because it's still that thing that we don't know what they're going to be like under Julian Nagelsmann.
Yeah, I mean, yes, they've won the German Super Cup and had an okay start to the Bundesliga, sitting in 3rd, heading into this 4th match day, which would have happened by the time this goes live. But I know what you mean. We haven't seen enough of Bayern under Nagelsmann to say, right, this is how they're going to do in the Champions League. Maybe after match day 2, like when we're in mid-October, then we can have a better view at Bayern. But you got to say they've still got to be up there because they haven't lost any of their key players. They've strengthened in defence, bringing in Upamecano, and in midfield, bringing in Sabitzer. So you can't really fully write off Bayern, but like you said, they are probably the 4th team, questionable 4th team for their favourites.
You'd think, well, yeah, you'd think that they should get through the group at least in 2nd.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, Dinamo Kiev and Benfica are not seen as the strongest opposition.
No. But I think for me, I'd have Bayern winning this group and then Barca in 2nd.
Yeah, I think that's probably the main thing people would be saying with
that. Elsewhere, you've got to look at the other 2 English teams. Liverpool probably got the hardest group out of the English teams. They've got FC Porto, Atletico Madrid and AC Milan. It's not going to be an easy ride for Jurgen Klopp's side.
No, for me, this is the definite group of death.
Yeah.
Like, just look at that. You've got Liverpool, who are a different beast this year with Van Dijk back.
Yeah.
You have the La Liga champions at Atletico.
And they're
only just gone on to improve their team further.
Yeah, bring in Griezmann back to the club, which is absolutely wild. And then you look at AC Milan as well. They'll have a fully fit Zlatan in that squad.
Along with the new signing, Giroud always turns up in your big game when he can. Tomori's looked okay for him.
Yeah, obviously they got Bakayoko as well.
They looked alright what they do. Goalie as well. Is it Mike
Maignan? Yeah.
Magnon, I don't. But yeah, and Porto are just massive shithouses.
Yes, so it's not going to be an easy ride for Jurgen Klopp's side, though. If they do get out there, you'd say quarter-finalists wouldn't be too bad of a turnout, considering the other teams that we've mentioned for them potentially going in the latter stages.
Just face it, they will have done well to get out of this group, I still feel.
Yeah. I think it is one of them where, as a Liverpool fan, you'd be disappointed with not getting out of this group stage, but at the same time, you look at your group and you realise, actually, if we go out by like goal difference or 1 point, you'd be like, okay, we've actually done decent enough in a really tough group.
And do you know what I've realised as well from this group that's quite interesting? It's a group of 3 former winners in it, and a team that has lost the final 3 times.
Jesus. That is a stat and a half. Wow. The final English team, Manchester United. You'd say they've probably got the easiest group out of them and Chelsea. Toss up between the easiest group out of the English sides. Obviously got Atalanta, Young Boys and Villarreal.
But forgetting that that's an Atalanta team who are very decent and should never be looked past. A Villarreal team that United didn't beat in the Europa League final.
Yeah.
And Young Boys could be difficult in terms of travel.
That's why I think this group... but with the summer additions that United have made, I think it's going to be top minimum they have to be.
They should be winning this group, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look who they've now got.
Oh, yeah. I don't see United as winners or finalists as much as I'd love it. I think, again...
You're not near that.
Quarter-finals.
We don't know we really do not know what Manchester United are going to be like now that Cristiano Ronaldo is back with them.
Well, yeah. So I think realistically, I'm going to say quarter-finals is where I'm expecting United to be this season. If we get anything past the quarter-finals, it'd be absolutely delightful. And obviously, every fan wants their team to win the Champions League. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I don't think we are quite there just yet. Maybe we are, and like you said, with the addition of Ronaldo, he can take United into title winners of the Champions League, but I just don't think it just yet.
He's come for the last dance.
Yes. Who are you expecting to be the underdogs of the tournament then?
Underdog pick? Ooh. Do you know what? It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because outside of the usual groups, you never really know who to pick, but Group G is usually the one. That's not Group G is the one that you would look at for maybe the potential underdog, because just look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a wide open group. You've got Lille of France, Red Bull Salzburg of Austria, Sevilla of Spain, and VfL Wolfsburg of Germany. You can't say who's going to finish where in that group at all, and I think, like you said, one of them teams could just be that team that go really far into the tournament, because it is such a wide open group and they don't have to face any of the so-called European big boys.
No, and yeah, Sevilla have got one eye on the Europa League as well. So,
as always,
the weird thing with Lille as well is it's not necessarily the same style of team because they don't have the same manager. I can't remember how they started this season. I don't think it's particularly well. They lost 4-0 at one to the first game.
Currently down in 10th in Ligue 1.
Yeah, it's not a good start then. So, yeah, there's always something with Red Bull Salzburg. And because the last few seasons they've had a star name stand out. First it was Haaland, then it was the likes of Patson Daka last season. They're Champions League regulars now, and you would expect them to maybe make a push for this.
Definitely. I do think it, like you said, I think it will be someone out of that group who will be the underdogs. Who, though, I'm not too sure personally, but I do think it will be someone out of Group G that's going to be.
It's really not an easy one to call, is it?
Yeah.
Even for joke purposes, I cannot say Sheriff.
I mean, I think they're underdogs in actually being in the tournament, let alone.
Well, it is their first tournament.
Well,
the first Moldovan team to ever reach the group stage.
Yeah, so that's already an achievement in itself.
But how many podcasts do you think it's going to take for us to go through and say the "Who shot the sheriff" joke?
Who did they play week 1? Shakhtar Donetsk. We'll probably work it into the Champions League review.
Well, I was going to say, if you're going to bring Ukrainian shooting, it's not. It's a very grey area, that.
Yes, I'll try not to. Right,
especially that area of Ukraine. Oh, God.
Yes. A deeper delve now into the opening match day in the Champions League. Tuesday sees Bayern Munich take on Barcelona from the Nou Camp. 8 o'clock. Obviously, everyone knows what happens the last time those two sides met in the Champions League. And then for the English viewers, you'll have BSC Young Boys versus Manchester United at 5:45. And the evening game will see Chelsea host Zenit St. Petersburg from Stamford Bridge. I think both teams could get off to a winning start there.
Yeah, you would think so. Although the main intriguing one there is obviously Bayern and Barca.
Yeah,
just because of what that game means and what happened the last time the two met.
Exactly, and it's a completely new look Barcelona compared to the changes at Bayern Munich. I mean,
not even just in team wise, but in kit wise as well.
Exactly. And then on Wednesday, the English games see Manchester City host RB Leipzig at 8 o'clock and Liverpool hosting AC Milan from Anfield at the same time.
My eyes will be firmly fixed on Liverpool and AC Milan just because of how much nostalgia is going to be put into the hype of that game and how awesome You'll Never Walk Alone will be.
Again, you got to say though, for the Wednesday fixtures, both teams haven't got an easy start to the season's Champions League. I mean, again, it could be one of them where you wouldn't be surprised if they lost it because it's both hard games for City and Liverpool respectively.
Yeah, I feel like City have got the easier one.
Yeah.
Again, that's just me not knowing how Leipzig are in their new transition period as well. Same with AC Milan. Like, who knows? Yep.
Other big games you got on Wednesday: Inter Milan taking on Real Madrid, and obviously the other game in Group B as Atletico play Porto. In that whole Group B is going to be tasty.
That's going to be the most boring game ever. Neither one of them are going to want to attack.
Don't say that because it's now going to be a boring 0-0.
It's going to literally, the ball's just going to be in the middle of the pitch and they're just going to be saying, no, you have it. No, you have it. You have it.
Well, I hope for
I remember how bad Porto were against Chelsea and how Atletico have always been under Simeone.
True.
These are the two shithouses.
Yes. Well, let's hope for some goals for those attending and watching the game. And obviously the big news this season is...
No bet on it.
Yes. The big news this season is away fans are allowed back in to the game, so it's going to be good to see fans in at every game from both sets of teams. So let's hope for a good Champions League.
Yeah, well, interesting call.
Yes.
On the away fans, even when they're not allowed at international games. But yeah, who knows? UEFA make it up as they go along.
As with everything that UEFA do, it's just guesswork. Right, before we head off, I'm going to ask you to have your finalists and who your winners are going to be for this season's Champions League.
It'd be more fun if the other person didn't know. Just one of them. We just come back at the end of the season and see who did it.
I mean, if you want to do it that way.
It would be quite fun.
Okay, well, I'm going to write down my Champions League final and what I expect.
Although thinking about it, am I even going to remember?
Well, if you're...
I'll write it down, but...
Yes.
Just can't remember. Don't ever delete it. Never delete from notes.
Definitely. Right. that is my final prediction done. And let's just say it's going to be a cracking game if we get that as a final. Right. As always, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Download us wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure you're following us on social media at OffTCPod for all updates throughout the Champions League games and everything else in the world of football. Until next week, when we'll have our usual preview show where we're talking about all of game week 5 in the Premier League, and we'll have a look back at the first match day in the Champions League. Until then, it's goodbye from Brad.
So yeah, go listen to all the podcasts. Why not?
Exactly.
Subscribe.
Definitely. And it's goodbye from me as well. We'll see you soon.